euphoria that is felt island-wide as a result of the success of our sprinter.
Yes.
The 100-meter sprinter, Miles Outerbridge, and man, he has come away with 2 medals, a gold in the 100 meters and a silver in the 200 meters. And in fact, I was able to watch on television because it was streamed, and I was able to view it live on YouTube. And boy, was I impressed, man! You would have thought I was, Jack in the box, jumping up and down in the house with my wife. At when he finished the race, and I just couldn't believe. I never even heard of the guy before.
Yeah.
But I'm going to read something that was shared with me recently by one of our iconic distance runners who has been involved years ago with Miles Outerbridge.
Okay.
And I was really surprised, but here it is. And I'm sure he's not going to mind me sharing it with you. He says a lot of people have been curious about Miles Outerbridge in his circle of friends. On the WhatsApp circle of friends he has as contacts on his WhatsApp app. And here's his reply that went out to his friends. Miles is as Bermudian as can be. I was his first coach, and we're speaking of none other than Mike Watson, the phenomenal middle distance runner. He was huge athlete as a middle distance runner. I think 800-meter specialist.
Yes.
I would have loved to see him do the 1500. I don't know. Maybe he'll let us know. But I do know he was a master at the 800 meters. He says, I was his first coach. He was Miles's first coach when he hardly said a word, but had a serious training ethic and great form for his age. He went to the Pacers track club when Mike Watson retired from coaching, though he has been in high school in Florida for 2 or 3 years now, which is why we may have not known much about him.
Yes.
One can say his accent has become typical Bermerican. That's a word. That's a new word. He's become a typical Bermerican. So he sounds Bermudian to a degree, but he's also got a bit of an American accent, right?
That's right.
Or some may think, private school correct like some, right? Though Miles went to public school in Bermuda. He didn't go to a private school. One of the things coaches past and present try to do well with Bermuda's Carifta athletes is teach them to express themselves properly with the media to sell their sport. Miles is Mike's wife, is her first cousin, Terry's first cousin. And his family is the Cumberbatch Outerbridge family with some Portuguese Melo in the DNA as well.
Okay.
So you can't get more Bermudian than that.
Right.
The Outerbridge Melo is on Miles's grandfather's side. Though his dad's mother or Miles's grandmother is Jamaican. So he's just all cross border. His dad is the director of works and engineering and is Terry, Mike's wife's first cousin on the African Bermudian Outerbridge and Portuguese Melo side. His nurse's mom is a Cumberbatch, also of Bermudian and Caribbean descent. However, one can say included in Miles's Bermudian DNA is the Jamaican and Caribbean genes, which has come out in his tremendous sprinter's ability. Studies has shown the Caribbean, and in particular Haitians and Jamaicans, carry more of the West African fast twitch genetics and an inner and sometimes outer aggressive nature along with the right body structure ideal for sprinting. That explains it. I don't buy the diet part as much, although eating more natural-based foods help. However, Jamaicans also have health and or weight challenges associated with eating too much bad foods. Plus, you can add the fact that track has become their national sport today over cricket and soccer, unlike other Caribbean islands, including Bermuda. This phenomenon makes for a more relatively small nation that is the sprinting capital of the world, like Kenya and Ethiopia, who inherit the slow-twitch distance running genetics and have become the distance capital of the globe. Bahamas, Trinidad, Barbados, and the Greater Antilles of Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, and Cuba could be as dominant but have not made track and field their national sport over others. West Africa and Brazil definitely would rule the sport in distances from the 100 meters to the 800 meters if poverty and other sports and political entities involving disenfranchisement associated with income, wealth, and inequality didn't dominate their communities. During Mike's Carifta era, Bermuda bettered Jamaica because at that time track was a premier sport in Bermuda, and the only way for us poorer children to travel or gain farther, higher overseas education. By the 80s, the privileges involving children having many choices in sports associated with the BIU and other post-segregation organized improvements, including a new influx of IB, changed the hunger and social dynamics. Besides new sports and exercise-oriented entities being disruptive, many expats promoting road running and triathlon along with local whites in MAAC Running Club helped to diminish Bermuda's regional track importance. These dynamics meant more money for families to afford higher learning but less value or emphasis in gaining a sports scholarship. The restructuring of the school system to middle schools wasn't the best thing for a vibrant inter-school track and field event, which emulated Jamaica's high school champs track competition. Today, it's even worse with physical education out of high schools, per se, about to be reintroduced, I believe, based on the reforms at our public school system, or within our public school system, and most in running circles uneducated about our Carifta history, even when it comes to it being the celebration of CARICOM, which Bermudians like the late BTFA Randy Benjamin helped initiate, along with others involved with the Caribbean Free Trade Movement. It's a pity when we consider the last Carifta 100-meter champion Bermuda had was Mike Sharp in 1975, when it was hosted in Bermuda. That year, we beat the life out of Jamaica in total points, and no one has done it ever since for Bermuda. So there you go, bit of historical perspective and an explanation on the significance of the victory in the 100 meters and the silver medal at Miles won in the 200 meters last night. So it was back-to-back Easter competitions in Carifta. So without further ado, folks, at 19 minutes after the hour, I am very pleased, privileged, and honored to have in studio the owner's representative of West End Properties, Mr. Chris Mabry, alongside the president of the Bermuda Industrial Union, Mr. Chris Furbert. So Chris and Chris, it's a double whammy. Yeah, that makes it a slam dunk. Yeah, the alley-oop type, you know. And Mike, what is he? What was Pippen's first name? Scottie Pippen. Yeah, he would launch that alley-oop to Michael Jordan. Bang, slam dunk, right? So welcome, gentlemen. Great to have you on Magic 102.7.
Thanks for having us. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, and Chris Mabry, it's your first time being on Magic 102.7, isn't it?
I think it is.
Oh,
so thank you so much for having me.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a baptism by fire.
I hope so. I expect nothing less.
Well, I must congratulate you because, of course, as a result of COVID, there was a significant challenge for West End Properties, and the unfortunate thing is that you were blindsided, West End Properties, as a result of that COVID pandemic having an impact that caused incredible disruption, and as a result, the government, along with West End Properties, worked out a mutual agreement that saw redundancies taken care of as they would have under certain circumstances had not the pandemic hit us. And all credit to West End Properties. They made good their promise to satisfy the terms of agreement so that the redundancies would be a seamless process for those that were impacted in the way that there was as a result of that pandemic. So for the executive of West End Properties, thank you very much on behalf, I'm sure, of all of those that were made redundant. For one, thank you to the government and to your executive team for having a meeting of the minds and doing what was not just in the best interest of the employees that were affected, but indeed what was in the best interest of the country at large. I think
it would be good to say that, and thank you for that, but during that time, it was actually at that period that I started to know President Ferber quite well, because obviously we had the same agenda during very difficult times when no one could quite tell when it was going to end, who knew what was going to be next. And obviously in a very professional way, him representing those people at that time and us finding a way through difficult circumstances is a very good way to understand each other and form relationships.
Absolutely.
But President Ferber was instrumental in those three-way discussions with the government, West End, and the union.
And how did you handle that, Chris? Because, of course, you would have had some dialogue with the affected employees. These are circumstances beyond anybody's control.
Absolutely.
But you don't react. You respond, and you hope to respond in a responsible way where there's a win-win-win. A win for the employees, a win for the owners, a win for the country.
So if you think about it, right, in April of 2020, yes, Wendy, everything hit the fan per se, and some 7-8 months later, the hotel made a decision that we need to make all the employees redundant. So they sent me an Excel spreadsheet with the 650 plus names of my members on it, all workers in the bargaining unit.
Staff,
and of course, I had to go through the Excel spreadsheet to make sure that people were being paid correctly. I will say this, and I'm not sure if I've said it in public before, but respectfully, my members are being overpaid, and I couldn't understand it, because the agreement says if Glenn's worked for the hotel for 30 years or 40 years, you're entitled to a maximum of 52 weeks severance pay.
Right.
Some of my members are getting 60 weeks, 68 weeks, 64 weeks severance pay. And I just sent the email back to the hotel, unless you guys are giving some kind of extra payment, my members should be only getting 52 weeks pay. So it was probably over by maybe $280,000 overpayment. I pointed it out to the hotel.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is an incredible testament to the significance and the value of having honest brokers on both sides of the table. Very, very important in situations that are challenges like would have been faced during that COVID period. Now, moving forward, Chris Mabry, purchasing and renovating the Fairmont Southampton Hotel. Major commitment. And of course, requiring a substantial investment. Does this reflect your confidence in the future of tourism here in Bermuda?
Well, I think it really must do. And putting in context, this is the largest project since the Air Force Base in the Second World War. It's twice the amount of capital the airport took to build. And it wasn't like we were coming into this totally blind. We have had good success in buying the Rosewood Hotel from the receivers. And through investment and through motivation of staff and employing the staff, and again, President Ferber, the BIU, have been heavily involved in that. It's a union property, and we're very proud of that, which employs over 90% Bermudians. We made a hotel that was underinvested in, and at receivers, we've made it a big success. We've continued to invest in that hotel. We invested nearly 25 million over the last couple of years, and funny enough, straight after this show, I'm going back to discuss other significant additional investments in that hotel. So we knew that Bermuda was a great place if you got the product right and if you got the staffing right. And there are very few places in the world where you can say there's well over 20 million qualified customers for hotels within a 2-hour flight circle, almost nowhere. There is a huge catchment. And I think that Bermuda hasn't necessarily done the best job about realizing what an amazing place this is. And that's not a criticism of anyone, I just think there's an opportunity. So we were emboldened by our experience at Rosewood and decided to take on, which is without doubt the most iconic hotel in Bermuda. I mean, everyone around the world knows the Pink Lady. And by the way, it is steamed pink, and those of you with good eyes will see that it's actually being repainted now, a little more Bermuda pastel pink with the dark pink. But
Nice.
you know, there are many things we could have done, but we do realize that that hotel not being pink was not one of them. So we took on with our eyes open, but we are a huge believer in the potential that Bermuda has, and I think those attractions only get better and better as time goes on in what we have to offer. Not only our proximity, but our beauty, the people. People want Bermudian staff, and it will be a Bermudian hotel. We'll get into that more later, perhaps. But to have 600 bedrooms, and as you mentioned in some of your opening comments, there is nowhere on Bermuda that can host a big event. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter what type of event. To hold a 1,000-person conference, convention, big company show, there's nowhere. And so it is a massive opportunity to attract a segment of business that we simply can't do now. And let's even look at the events we have now. We can't have a big concert on Bermuda. There's nowhere to stay. When we have the America's Cup, I had 60 people who wanted to come from a New York delegation who wanted to come. The Rosewood Hotel was full. There's nowhere for them to stay.
Wow.
So we are turning away business every day. We can come more onto the economic benefits, but I don't want to over talk on my first question, but the answer is we are extremely bullish and more bullish by the day in the potential that Bermuda, the beautiful island, and her people offer for guests.
I think that will be music to everybody's ears.
I think, let me clarify something about the banquets, Glenn, because I think the convention business, right? Fairmont Southampton closed in 2020, but for about 15, almost 20 years, they had gotten out of what I would call the circuit, because they were not competitive. And in order to now look at getting back into the convention business, they'll look at space and a number of other things. So naturally enough, if you go back in the 80s, maybe between 75 and 85 or 75 and 90, maybe you had the State Farms and the IBMs. And guys used to come here for like 46 weeks. So, in the early 2000s, those guys kind of fell away. So we're now got to get back in. We got to get back in the market. So we get in that rotation, because they have a rotation that they normally go through. And Bermuda was out of rotation. So if we can get back in the rotation, then that brings convention business back to the country.
Absolutely. Now I've seen the development going on at arm's length with the work and the a beehive activity going there at the Southampton Princess Hotel. Chris, this has required substantial renovations. Can you outline what work is happening at the hotel currently and where it started and where you're hoping to end?
I think the only way we can describe it is basically a new hotel. This is not a lick of paint and a promise. Every part of this hotel, from the infrastructure to the air conditioning to the plumbing to everything is being renovated. All the guest rooms are completely being refitted. Every restaurant is being refitted, and we are investing a lot of money in a state-of-the-art beach club. The beach club didn't exist in its current format before. We're taking over all the space where the tennis court is going to be. I mean, I'll talk about that a little bit later if you want, because we're very excited about that. We think it's going to be a major attraction, not only for the hotel but for Bermuda.
That's one of the surprises.
Let's see. I'll talk about that happily.
Okay.
But really, there is no part of the spa's being redone. There is no part of the hotel that is not being completely redone, retouched, and behind the scenes and in front of the scenes. And I think the excitement will be a completely fresh 600-bedroom hotel, but with a Bermudian flavour. And we are absolutely determined to make sure that it is not like a hotel in Florida.
That's awesome. As much as I like Florida. Now, there's been some discussion, Chris, about workers on the site. And clearly there's not enough local labor to fill all of the jobs. I think everyone would recognize that in Bermuda. But Bermudians and local contractors have been offered every opportunity to participate in this project. Am I correct in assuming that? Because that's what I'm hearing from a lot of the project managers who have been subcontracted to do certain tasks there in the redevelopment.
Yeah, it was really important to us. And again, President Ferber and his officers were very useful and helpful to us in making sure that every opportunity was given to Bermudians first, and obviously the Department of Labour involved. We held many more job fairs, continued to advertise, and went out of our way to make sure that Bermudians had the job opportunity. But as you say, there's just simply not that pool of labour in Bermuda. And also, construction in Bermuda is pretty busy as well. There's still quite a lot going on. So we were forced to go offshore and to hire labour there, which we have done. And there's probably close to 400 people working on that site now, which will increase. So, as you say, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, and we haven't heard anything controversial, which has been really nice, because on capital projects, on private projects of this scale, there's always tendencies for there to be some level of discord or contention among the workforce or labor. Chris, we haven't had that. It's been almost a seamless progression of what has been going on to redevelop that fine hotel.
Well, I think, Glenn, you got to look at it from this perspective, and I don't think the government is given enough credit, and I say that respectfully, because we want to talk about the negative things as opposed to talk about the positive things. Mm-hmm. If Bermuda's unemployment rate is at 1%, where we can get the people from?
Yeah.
We're at 1%. If there is roughly 1,000 people retiring every year that's leaving the workforce, where you can get them from? So if we had, back in 2008, if we had 27,000 Bermudians that filled the 27,000 jobs, and some people might have had one job or two jobs, so let's say we had 25,000 Bermudians. Well, in the last 10 years or so, we lost quite a few thousand Bermudians out of the workforce. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got a birth rate, but the birth rate's been declining.
Yes, exactly.
And one of the reasons why we actually have no unemployment is because people are working. Yeah. If they weren't working, they'd be calling your shoe, they'd be coming around the BRU. Yeah. I can't find a job in Bermuda. Da, da, da. So you have the odd person there that says they can't work, but for the most part, Bermuda has full employment right now.
Able-bodied persons being able
absolutely.
to work.
Yeah.
Now you have part of the equation, those people who would be enjoying natural attrition. So they're retiring. Yeah. They don't want to work anymore. They've paid their dues. Mm-hmm. They've given their all to contribute in a valuable way to the well-being of the country. Yeah. Then you have the very controversial issue of emigration. Now, emigration is broad. Yes. There are those that are leaving the country because they feel they would be safer somewhere else because of whatever lifestyle that may have attracted dysfunctional consequences that impact them and or their loved ones directly. They decide, you know what, I need to get out of here. Then you have those that feel the cost of living is a huge challenge. Yes. And those circumstances are as complicated as they would be everywhere else in the world that's talking about the very same thing. And not the least of which among that subject is the challenges that now the United States and other places in the world, because of the flow of goods by way of the war being disrupted, and immediately the impact has been a rise in costs and inflationary trends, such as the increase in gas at the fuel pumps in the United States. Now, from your perspective, understanding the dynamics of economies of scale, we know that when America sneezes, we catch the cold. It would appear to me that with the consequences that they are now being faced with, there's going to be that knock-on where Bermuda is going to feel it at some point in time. Is that going to result in the consequential fallout being an increase in inflation and or an increase in the cost of living, which would be due to circumstances beyond the control of those who depend on imports because they can't control the source of the commodities that they need to come into the island? They got to pay what is being asked for.
So let's look at the recession that we had in 2008, 2009, right? And actually hit Bermuda in 2009, because we had just completed negotiations in 2008 with the HEB for new wage increases for our members. 2008, 9, 10, 11, they got the increase in 2008, but 2009 they didn't get the increase because of the recession.
Yes.
So as you know, Bermuda's been very, very, very resilient, but we simply can't take them kind of things for granted. I think that our inflation rate will probably be affected by it. How much? A lot depends on how we go about making sure we manage the things we need to manage. But Bermuda's going to be okay.
Okay.
Bermuda's going to be okay.
Chris, what about when the hotel reopens? That's got to be exciting for you, looking forward to that from now until the redevelopment is completed and there is a date that is in concrete. No pun intended, the development that's going on there of when you decide that the hotel will reopen. There have also been some public statements by the Chamber of Commerce and others about how we will fill all these jobs after the jobs that have been filled to get the redevelopment completed. We're now got the challenge of filling the jobs for service and operational considerations. Can you elaborate on how these jobs will be filled?
Absolutely. I mean, it's a great question, and it's a challenge that we are absolutely delighted to rise to. I mean, the idea that we can directly create 700 jobs, but perhaps more importantly, the hotel groups, and Fairmont is at top of the list, do a fabulous job of training our young people. There are very few industries left now that apprenticeships are pretty much a thing of the past, where you can join as a bellboy, you can join as a receptionist,
busboy or whatever.
And then you can be the front desk night manager, and then the day manager. Then you'll go to Mexico as this, and you go to London as there, all the way being trained and moving through. And we think that young Bermudians being given that chance to better themselves and advance themselves is going to be unique and very exciting. Without doubt, finding staff is going to be interesting, and I hate to say this, and I'm in no way gloating, but it's going to cause some problems to other hotels because a lot of staff who are employed in the industry will want to come back to the hotel that they have fond memories there. We are,
and it's not going to be a question of poaching. It's going to be a question of options being available as a result of the redeveloped hotel coming on.
Choice.
Choices, of course. Dream of poaching. We're also we're advertising in London, and with the Bermuda government offices in London, we're trying to attract young people who've believed that they didn't have a future here. You got a future here. Come here. You work hard, you're prepared to better yourself, you're prepared to give it some years, you've got a future here. So we're very confident that we will attract a huge amount of Bermudian talent and give the opportunities there. And I think also, let's not forget the spin-off opportunities. If you think for the individuals who employ themselves, but if you're a taxi driver or you're a restaurant owner or you're a tour guide or you're a charter boat operator,
all the hospitality directly related opportunities that will flow out of this redeveloped new property.
The $100+ million that's missing out the economy because of that hotel.
Wow.
And think of 1 in 3 people who arrive at the airport we're going to go to that hotel. So think of the number of new flights and the destinations where flights will come in from
because of demand,
and then they've got to get from the hotel to, it's obvious the knock-on effects are huge. So I think that overall, of course it's a challenge, but what a wonderful challenge. Of all the challenges you face in work, offering people jobs and offering people the opportunity to further themselves if they want it, for me, is the most exciting challenge.
Now, I know I've worked with Tucker's Point, particularly Eva. She's an angel. The level of attention to detail, the competence, the professionalism, the personality that all goes with sales in appealing to people's emotive side as well as their budget is very, very important. When you now look at your marketing strategy, is that going to be in-house? Is that going to be outsourced? Is it going to be in tandem with the Bermuda Tourism Authority? How is that going to work when you are ready to say, we're open for business, folks? Here's the number, here's the email to contact us for inquiries and or confirmed reservations.
And it's a really good point. And I think it'll be multifaceted, but let me expand on that fractionally. Mm-hmm. Your first point on the staff is essential. Every touch point, people have choices as to where they spend money. Mm-hmm. And if you're not doing everything perfectly, then they're not spending money with you. And they shouldn't. And so, therefore, we want everyone to act like it's their business. The passion and the finding solutions that is always necessary needs to be in every communication that's there. But I think that the big advantage of the hotel groups like Fairmont is that they have tens of millions of names in the marketing database. So there's that overlay that when you're at a different hotel, you'll get that, and they're very sophisticated. We have our on-site teams, which we're building at the moment. We will be having all of the group booking agents, as President Ferber mentioned, that to get back on the list, they won't come unless they stay at the hotel to book for next year. We're going to have all of those people staying at the hotel this year, experiencing what we're going to offer to get the bookings for 27 that's going to happen there. And we welcome, with the Tourism Authority as well, we welcome engaging with them because, frankly, it's a big project, and with the other hotel operators, we've had a very good relationship because a rising tide lifts all boats. Let's just get more people coming to Bermuda. Tourism in Bermuda is less than 4% of GDP. It used to be 30%. We've got a long way to go and a big opportunity to go there.
Now, the shoulder season always creates a challenge for Bermuda because of our subtropical climate. But with the Southampton Princess and with Bermuda, the brand, being recognized by those that would be considered recidivist tourists, I got an idea for you. What about in the shoulder season, in the off-season, doing a campaign that focuses on the nostalgia emotion call to action? You remember when? When have you last been? If you remember when, and you go to the website and you fill out the application, whatever the criteria that must be met, during that period of the shoulder season, you get some kind of a discount on the room rate.
We're going to do it. Thank you.
Okay.
As long as you don't want a fee. But no, exactly. The goodwill and the feelings toward that hotel around the world and the people who've had good experience is extraordinary. And I do think that is a really good point for us to capitalize on.
The nostalgia for people that have been. Remember the Princess. And, Princess is not open anymore. I'm not going back. What? They're going to be open when? Oh, my goodness. And they're going to give a discount? I don't like to go in September because I don't know if it's going to rain, but I'm going because it's a little less than it would be going in August for the nostalgia. I think that would be great.
It's a great idea.
Housing is critical in Bermuda. I know our Minister of Housing, Zane De Silva, who I consider a friend as well as a former political colleague, is working, burning the oil at both ends, looking to substantiate the reality of there being houses added to the inventory. And in so doing, he has got many projects that are works in progress as we speak. Now, one of Bermuda's successes, being international business, has contributed to some of the challenges. Because when you have a very buoyant economic model in the international business space where the salaries may far outpace the average Bermudian salaries, these individuals, because of their expertise and because of the success of that sector of the industry, which has become our number one pillar of the economy, provides them an opportunity with fringe benefits and remuneration to enjoy, let's say, the better things in life that they can afford with their disposable income through their gainful employment that they've earned. And so I have a really nice 2-bedroom apartment, and I put it out and say it's vacant. I'm going to charge $2,500, let's say. Express your interest. So someone comes and your wife, Chris, says, honey, I got the $2,500 per month. I've just about ready to sign off with the new tenant that we're going to be welcoming. And a guy who's just come into Bermuda, John Doe, has settled, and he's staying at the Fairmont Southampton Princess Hotel, and he says, I need to get a permanent residence now. This is burning my pocket a little much.
And I'll give you $3,000.
I'll give you $4,000. And so it's then a question of the market forces. And you get, while the getting's good, in a free enterprise capitalistic society, notwithstanding the democracy. So now you say, honey, I've had somebody inquiring, they want to pay me $3,500 for the 25. She says, really? Mm-hmm. Oh,
that's
man, honey,
that's extra $12,000 a year.
I really love these folks. They seem like they would be ideal. But wow, what are we going to be giving up? And there's no guarantee. Okay, honey, I'll have to give them a call and tell them that you had already, without communicating to me, had them sign the rental agreement. And so there you go. The success of the country creates a challenge. And as a result, there's the shortage of housing. Now, you would have thought, if there is such a huge exodus of people emigrating out of the country, they would be leaving vacant homes. Why doesn't that add up? Are they leaving out of homes where they're already sharing a home? Or are they leaving out of homes that they were standalone tenants? Because if they were standalone tenants, those homes will be back into the inventory.
Absolutely.
So that doesn't make sense in itself, is a contradiction on the principle of the theory.
Right.
I don't know about the practicality because I don't know it all. But that has always raised a gray area and a question mark in my mind. If there's so much, the naysayers would say, oh, there's all of these thousands and thousands of people that's left Bermuda. Oh, where were they living when they were here? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I don't hear that question, and I've not heard an answer.
Right. So here's what I can say to you, is that if you think about, let's go back to 2008, when we had a workforce of 40,000. We had roughly 28,000 Bermudians and 12,000 guest workers to make a total of 40,000 workforce. Right. Where did these people stay? Remember now what's happened now since 2008. That 15-year-old is now what?
Yeah.
Think about it. That person who was 15 back in 2008, one now 16 years still on the road. So that person's in the 20s. So they don't live in their mother's house anymore.
Yeah.
How many of those children actually moved out of the house into an apartment?
Yeah.
And I think that's what's eating up a lot of the market. That's my opinion. And I think it's right. I think I'm right.
Could be, but when you look at the cost of living, they got to be making a real good salary to afford the rent.
No, I got that, but remember now.
So most people I know from experience, a lot of Bermudians, up until 26 years old, 27 years old, will still be staying at home trying to save money.
But remember now, if you say that we've got a housing shortage,
yes,
and use the example that you just made, if we've got these people who are left,
yes,
why, and we've got, and if the workforce as far as guest workers is also down, why we got a shortage of housing?
Right. I mean, that's my point. Something's not adding up.
Something's not adding up.
The numbers don't lie.
Yeah, absolutely
so
correct.
Maybe through the census that is soon to be taking place, that we'll get answers to a lot of these questions that right now we kind of have anecdotal answers to.
Well, that'd be a good thing, because I think we had, I'm not sure if it was 28 or 32,000, like when we look at the amount of residents we had for rent and all that kind of, housing.
Yeah.
It was like 32,000, whatever it was. So is that number shrunken? Has it,
increased or whatever?
Yes.
Yeah. So, Chris, housing is, of course, as we're talking about it being such a critical issue in Bermuda currently, there is staff housing at the hotel, and there was and has always been at the Southampton Princess, and I understand some housing off-site as well that you provide for your staff. Do you believe there will be adequate housing available for the 700 staff that you anticipate hiring at the new redeveloped Fairmont Southampton Princess Hotel?
We've been very blessed. I mean, it is an excellent question, and it is a real problem for hotels and guest workers in this country. But we are blessed in that there is a lot of on-site dormitories and housing that we can use, and quite a lot off-site as well. And so, as evidenced by the workers we have on the site now who are in, where we can house them, we will and absolutely pledge to hire Bermudians first. It is inevitable for the reasons that President Ferber outlined earlier. It's inevitable that we can't provide all the staff from Bermuda, but we are very confident that we'll be able to house and accommodate in good circumstances. We just refurbished all of these properties as part of the
that's
renovation.
awesome. Wow.
Yeah, we're very lucky.
So now, Chris, that will contribute toward at least a short-term, if not mid or long-term solution, if that policy is going to apply across the board to the international guest worker as much as it will to a local worker who may be looking for housing, whether it be single units or two-bedroom units, I don't know, or one-bedroom units, I don't know what the demand would be. But if that is going to be applied, even if it's just studios or singles for the single individual that would be a staff member, that would even be a great help, because a huge number of those demanding housing are for single houses, one-bedroom houses and that kind of thing. So that's really good to hear. And I think that's going to be a motivating factor as well that could be quite appealing to people that are working in the industry right now at other establishments. So when you've got these kind of fringe benefits, that's what sometimes is the deal maker as opposed to the deal breaker.
For sure.
Yeah. Casinos, big. We've been talking about that forever and a day. And my understanding, the last I had some intel about casinos, was one of the huge challenges is that banks were not feeling comfortable and or confident because of the nature of the business model. Can you give us any update or your impressions on casinos applicable to the Bermuda model as far as a tourism product is concerned?
Yeah, I'm not happy to. We have got the Fairmont Southampton Gaming Act. We have the ability to put on a casino, which we will actively consider. But we are heads down focused on getting the hotel open first. There will not be a casino on opening. With regards to the banking situation, which you accurately reflect, it's my opinion, with my banking hat on, I'm vice chairman of Bermuda Commercial Bank, that we will find a solution. And I think those solutions are quite close. And longer term, at the hotel, we've identified spaces. We would love a casino. But as I said, we have one mission. I don't think people believed us when we started. We want to get the hotel open. We're not even talking about the SDO and those properties there until we get the hotel open. Then we'll only turn our thinking to it then. I just think it's such a ginormous project, such a huge project. Obvious from the number of people we got there. That's our laser-like focus, and anything else is a distraction.
Well, I'm loving the order of priority because it makes sense. And it also gives you an opportunity to reflect in the mirror. Because if you see where you're going and you look back in the rear view and say, this is what we've left behind, now maybe we can address it. Because where we are currently is all boxes ticked.
But you mentioned banks and casinos, right? But let's just, me, I'm going to call it a spade, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got a commercial bank, we've got Bank of Butterfield, we've got HSBC.
CG.
Well, CG, but I'm going to use HSBC as the example, right?
Okay.
Every year, and if you think I'm not telling the truth, every year HSBC gets fined for violations of doing things they shouldn't be doing. I'm telling you this. I'm just saying it like that. They do it because you're finding me $1 billion, but I made $100 billion. I don't mind paying you, right?
Yeah.
And this is going on. This thing about we're concerned about casino. That's a bunch of anyway.
Well, the Hong Kong Shanghai Bank. We kind of know that history, and if you don't know and you want to know, they got plenty intelligence on YouTube. That's factual based. It's not rhetoric.
Absolutely correct.
And
Thank you.
of course, they have been fined billions of dollars for certain violations. Particularly unrelated to Bermuda per se, save and except for their guilt by association being the same corporate head. But
and respectfully, they'll never get shut down. Why?
Yeah.
The people that
too big to fail.
Not just too big to fail. They're fine. They're making money. They're making money off of them. So it's kind of like. Respectfully, one hand washing the other per se. That's my definition, right?
And I'd encourage all of your listeners to look at the mortgage rates you pay, especially from the big banks. And I would encourage you to shop around at other banks on island and just make sure you're not being ripped off.
And thanks to the Bermuda government for relaxing the regulatory framework that allowed homeowners to shop around and find a better deal if they're not satisfied with the interest rates applied to their mortgages. So thank you for reminding us of that, Chris. Now, the exciting things, man. Let's talk about the surprises. You got to have one or two surprises for us, right?
Knowing you as I do, I would not have dared turn up on your show without giving you some exclusives. And so I know I wouldn't get out of the door. So if I may, I'd like to talk a little bit about some of the exciting things.
Yeah.
And before I do that, a crucial part of the Fairmont Southampton is Bermudians. Bermudian customers. Bermudian customers, especially out of season, because down at the end of the island, there are choices, of course, but not many choices. We'll be opening, we'll have 10 restaurants, which I want to talk about.
Wow.
And let me just give you some, it's not anecdotal, this is factual stuff. That when you've got conventions and, banks, etc., holding large events at the hotel, and they've got into Little Venice or into town for dinner or whatever, and they come back, the Jasmine Lounge on a Friday night, where there are Bermudians there having a cocktail, singing, dancing.
Yes.
The guests say, what's happening here? And they'll go to the Jasmine Lounge and they'll get in a charming conversation with Bermudian, and they buy 3 more cocktails. Thank you, Bermudians. I mean, that happens the whole time.
And that's what Bermuda's known for. And out of that, friendship results in incredible friendships. Where Bermudians, whenever they go to where these folks are from, they want to reciprocate taking them out somewhere and showing them on the town.
And that is reflected in the guest service. So we are very mindful and very grateful for Bermudians, and so we want to build upon that. So some exclusives for you. I mean, the standards we're just making better. The Jasmine Lounge is going to be the Jasmine Lounge, but it's going to be nicer and it's going to be a bit bigger. And windows are going to be the same. The water lot we opened, as you know, last year, and it's been hugely successful. And it used to be that 60% of the clients who went there from the hotel, obviously there's no hotel, but it's packed with Bermudians. And shown what we can do. And we took 40 staff from nothing to create that, and obviously it's still doing really well.
Impressive,
And also the boundaries bar, those are the bits that but they're just going to be loved up a bit and a little bit nicer. But here's the beach club is going to be extraordinary. It's the largest swimming pool in Bermuda. It's already poured. It's the largest ever concrete pour in Bermuda.
Wow.
It is going to have a brand new outside seafoody grill type restaurant, outdoor dining on the ocean. It's going to have another function, a large function restaurant. It's going to have cabanas. There were 8 tennis courts behind the original structure. All those 8 tennis courts are going to have facilities on them. It is going to be unlike anything in Bermuda, frankly, unlike anything in the Caribbean region. I mean, think the best beach clubs you've seen in the world. And that's what you've got.
Wow.
All brand new, all new build, will be open for the summer this year. It's something we're going to be incredibly proud of. All on the most beautiful, soft sandy beach. Next to the turquoise waters.
Oh, pristine.
And when I took the head of Starwood Capital, who's the largest lender in the world in the hotel space.
Are they going to be managing the property as well?
They're not managing.
Fairmont's managing.
Fairmont's managing.
Okay.
They lent us the money, and they've lent us the main mortgage.
Gotcha.
And when he came down, he said, "This is the most beautiful facility I've seen anywhere.
Wow.
In the world.
What an endorsement.
What an endorsement." So the beach club is going to be extraordinary. But in addition to that, we're going to open a French brasserie, new one. It's going to be called Lulu's. Sounds quite French. With simple French fare and bistro type fare.
Okay.
And we're going to be opening where the old Newport room was. A lovely Italian restaurant called Figio, and doing lots of new cuisine. And something I'm going to work on with President Ferber, we'll discuss, is that outside of the very busy summertime, I'd love to work out some way we can give discounts to Bermudians.
That would be awesome.
Because they support us, and we appreciate the support.
And the one thing Bermudians love is quality.
Yeah.
And if the price point is appropriate to the quality at a discount rate, you will get the support.
Absolutely.
There's no two ways about that. You know, not everybody in Bermuda is struggling. There is a significant enough number of people who need to do better, and it is the challenge to help them and lift them up.
Absolutely.
But this country wouldn't be what it is without that number of people significantly being able to enjoy nice things, particularly after they've worked hard for their earnings, and now they want to enjoy the fruits of their labor. That might be a niche to a degree, but there is a market for that. And with some of the challenges with the antisocial concerns in the community, people aren't feeling so inclined to go out as much as they once did. Also, digging into their psyche is all of the platforms that provide you some of the best in-home entertainment that you could imagine without leaving your home. The one thing you miss with that is the social dynamic that brings people together, because we as human beings have been made to interact, to socialize.
And I think also Bermudians do and should and will take pride in this hotel, which they all know so well. Their parents probably worked at it when they were growing up, as so often the case, or holiday jobs or whatever it is. 10 restaurants, a golf club, best beach club, anywhere around. A beautiful spa, tennis, whatever you want.
Golf.
Still an 18-hole golf course.
It's going to be 18 holes? But it's par 3.
It's always been a par 3.
Right,
but
right.
And
that's for the person like me that has not really been inclined to hone their skills in golf.
I just want to remind the public, right? Let's just remind the public. It's still 18 holes.
Yes.
We were having a conversation about taking it down to 13 or 14 hills.
Correct.
And of course, we had a conversation, and I told them, if you continue to have the BI support, that's to remain an 18-hole golf course.
And it's going to be very appealing to certain guests that come in that don't really want to play that full 5 par, 4 par.
Absolutely correct.
18-hole course.
Correct. They can go out and have some fun. But it is what President Ferber says is absolutely true.
Okay.
He and I rarely fall out on things, but that really came to blows.
Right. So, Chris, a lot of talk about the Cubans, particularly with the islands to the south of us, Jamaica, for instance, allowing Cubans to come and work, and then they have to sign a contract with the Cuban government, and all kinds of controversies and anecdotal rhetoric without any hardcore proof that the Jamaican government has come out and counteracted with fact that doesn't sound as bad as it sounded when there was just all kinds of things floating out there in the atmosphere. But there are a significant number of guest workers on the site, and Cubans have been mentioned often in comments online, particularly where I've noticed. What would you say in response to the concerns that may have been expressed?
Well, absolutely right. We've had a lot of guest workers. We've had lots of workers in from Cuba, all of whom, of course, have passed stringent tests for immigration and work permits through the Department of Labour. There's been no special favours. And I think that although occasionally when you have hundreds of people, there will be incidents that are regrettable. It's sort of inevitable and statistical number. I would say overall, these people in some ways are very humbling. They're skilled tradesmen who want to come here. They want to work every hour. They want to work every hour of overtime, and they want to take their money back home to change their lives.
Yes.
And I think that has been the vast overall experience that we see. And I personally have made sure that if there's been any complaint, and there have been some, that we've dealt with it. There was a complaint of a mess in a taxi, we paid it. There was some complaints, from the Minister of Labour, we dealt with them straight away. And so, unless you can find other incidents, I would say that we have been very diligent in trying to make sure that we have been responsive and reflective of a large group of workers.
Hotel concessions. What's going on? Either of you or both of you can comment with respect to hotel concessions.
When you say concessions, do you mean retail units and things, or?
Yes.
Yeah, there's going to be a whole mezzanine floor.
Yes.
And there's a lot of competition for it. So on the mezzanine floor, as you
retail businesses within the community could have a subsidiary at that hotel.
Yeah, and we are having a special area at a special price for Bermudian artisans and artists.
Oh, nice.
And we believe that is part of what I was alluding to earlier, Glenn, that we must have Bermudian flavour.
Yeah.
I can announce.
And it provides an opportunity for the entrepreneurial artisan to sell their wares and goods, right?
Absolutely right. And we are commissioning, Tiny the Tree Frog?
Yeah.
We are commissioning a special Tiny the Tree Frog book.
Oh, okay.
Tiny visits the Fairmont Southampton. And then all around the site, there's going to be where Tiny goes to the beach club or whatever, so the children will drive their parents mad by going down there and sort of
let's
getting
do
stickers.
The Tiny Trail, Tiny the Tree Frog Trail.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
And so we are very determined to have Bermudian artists and artisans having a voice.
That's very innovative, because lots of times guests that want to come and do a family vacation, one of the questions they're inevitably going to ask is, what kind of activities do you have for the kids? This would be something exciting. Yeah. Government guarantee. There was a lot of talk, a lot of rhetoric surrounding the decision of the government to work with West End Properties in finding a compromise that would assist with that hotel being redeveloped. Because of course you're going out to financial institutions. It could be hedge funds. It could be looking to banking institutions or other financial institutions to get a bridging loan, or however you may want to structure your finance. The first thing they're going to want is some collateral. And there's nothing more secure than a sovereign guarantee. How has that worked, and how does it work, and what are some of the terms that you are, obligated to adhere to?
Yeah, I think Bermuda is a difficult country to develop hotels in for a number of reasons. You mentioned, Glenn, the season and the shoulder season. That doesn't help. We haven't got 10 months of great weather. The cost of construction is brutal. It just is. The cost of power and energy is brutal. And these everyone, all your listeners can relate to these things, but in terms of operating a hotel, it's very, very tough. And so therefore, frankly, I think the government has been very innovative. And if you look at every hotel that has been talked about, whether it was the Hampton Princess, Scott's Concessions, obviously Stephen King's doing a great job at the Lauren and at Elbow Beach now.
Yes.
It's got concessions. If you look at the St. Regis, there are concessions. This is not a new concept, because frankly, it wouldn't happen here. I think the other important factor, as well as the money, is that for a lender, when you've got a government who's got skin in the game, you feel better about things.
Yeah.
You feel that there's real commitment, and in terms of the ability to get the necessary permits or legislation or whatever, if the government's involved, then probably that's going to be something that is going to be okay.
Yeah. And a guarantee is only a guarantee unless there's something that goes off the rails and it needs to be
It's
caught.
not money. It's
just a guarantee.
It's a
See, and a lot of people make a mistake
but
in understanding that whole concept
of the,
that a guarantee,
of the guarantee
is actually the cash.
But remember now, if you think about it from this perspective, right? The guarantee for Fairmont Southampton, it's a no-brainer. My words.
Yeah.
Why? It's the largest hotel in the country. It's too big to fail.
Yep.
You got 600 rooms. I remember like when we had the receivers coming in for Newsday Belmont Hills, right? And they made it clear, unless you got 200 rooms, you can't succeed. It's 600 rooms up there.
At bare minimum.
That hotel has never lost money in the 50 years it was a take that to the bank.
Yeah.
Right.
Profits have been declining, but it was still in the black. Even if they was making $1 profit, that hotel never lost money. All the years was open. So it's a no-brainer to provide a $75 million guarantee for the iconic hotel in the country for it to reopen.
Yeah,
it's a no-brainer.
It's just a surety. The other thing you look at, from my perspective, having been in politics, you look because everything has a risk to it, and you look at the measured risks,
Yes.
what you can kind of project. Number one. Number two, you look at legacy, you look at credibility, and all of those kinds of things. And when I looked at, because there was the controversy where former finance minister resigned because he was not in agreement with the collective. And my thing was, you know what? The critical thing for me was, here's the government to protect the workers in the country, mutually agreeing to some terms and conditions to provide the redundancy because of whatever the situation was, where there wasn't a cash flow able to satisfy the redundancy at the time it was going to be due, and the government stepped in. The most commendable thing that would have given me an increased measure of good faith and benefit of doubt was that the West End properties paid back the full amount of $11 million. That has to hold incredible weight in the trust that you would have in doing business with a counterpart, government to a private entity. When you talk about that kind of collaboration and cooperation, then you're talking about good faith being exercised at the very highest exemplary standard there could be. And you cannot dismiss that or look at that lightly.
No.
So even if you got a doubt on that $75 million, you're like, you know what? Hey,
but no, I think I need to clarify something here, Glenn. First of all, Curtis Dixon was the Minister of Finance because he agreed to pay the Stebbins money. He agreed. Because he says, he came to me, actually called me in the event. He says, look, I need to make sure that we pay the redundancy money to your members. You know, we'll get it back from the hotel. We just want to, we don't want it to be delayed. So they went ahead and done it.
And that's highly commendable.
Absolutely correct. First of all, I gave him full credit for that. I didn't like the end part of it because nowhere in there was to be you mentioned about what we did. Because once he can't call us, we could have told him, we don't want you to touch it. But we agreed that you can go ahead and do it. But understanding that, there are people who are going to, be a part of a process. And for whatever reason, we just couldn't get the full deal across the line with him being Minister of Finance, and that's a fact. What happened?
And the prerogative is his for his reasons.
Right.
And I'm not criticizing that.
No,
because that is very noble for him to say, you know what, I can't agree with this, so I'm removing myself.
Right.
And you got to give him credit for standing on his principles, whatever they were.
Right.
But suffice it to say, in the interest of the country, the decision made by the remaining members of the cabinet collectively to do what they do to see this go forward in the interest of the country is resulted in where we are today with the redevelopment almost being completed and scheduled to be completed a little later this year.
But Glenn, go back to the $75 million guarantee. Look at this is not my figures, the government calculated these numbers. There was about $100 million a year that's being lost for the hotel being closed. $100 million a year. So it's been closed for 6 years. That means $600 million has not been to our economy.
That's over half.
You ain't heard this kind of numbers coming from our beach closed, you know.
Yeah.
You ain't heard these numbers from about other hotels closed.
Yeah.
You heard it from the iconic hotel in the country.
Yeah.
So the $75 million guarantee, once again, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. I would concur. I would certainly concur. Asbestos, Chris. Everybody was talking about that. You know, us Bermudians, man. Give us an inch. We're going to take 2 miles.
Yeah, always. Look, there's no building that was built in the 70s that doesn't have asbestos. And so there are very strict and very specific and very tight legislative processes for dealing with that. And with the good offices of the Department of Health and the Department of Building, we have made sure that we have dealt with all of those queries, and the government have been our partners in this, and we've made sure that it's been handled professionally and thoroughly. But asbestos is in any building of that age.
Yeah, and it's applicable around the world for buildings at the time that was using asbestos as a part of their structural infrastructure. Finally, Chris, we can let you get out of here after this final question and any closing comments you might want to make. But how can, and we'll take a few calls, just a few, because we've gone over time already, but how can Bermudians who are interested in working at the redeveloped new Fairmount Southampton Princess Hotel apply for employment?
Please apply. There are plenty of websites. Donna Harvey Mabry is she's not my sister. I wish she was.
Oh, she's awesome.
Yeah. So, you know, Donna, we are willing and wanting and able, but if they get involved and write to you or to President Ferber or to me or to anyone, we will make sure that each and every application is looked at seriously and studiously, and we would love to hear from anyone who believes that they would like to be part of what is going to be the most exciting project in Bermuda.
Awesome. Magic 102.7, good afternoon. You are on the air.
Good afternoon, Smooth. Great interview to your guest.
Thank you.
Very informative. 2 questions. One, I thought I heard it mentioned that locals will be housed in the facility in dorms. Did I hear that right? That was one question, and the other question was how are things going? Is everything on schedule? Will we be opening on time? And I'll listen off air.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for those questions. We obviously need to prioritize and fill the jobs, and we will look at every application on its merit. But there are certain circumstances, absolutely, when we will consider locals for some of that. And if you think about as people progress through a career, and if they've gone off island as part of their career, they started at Fairmont or come in from another hotel, they won't have a place here. And if they're Bermudians, especially from overseas, etc., we'll need to make sure that we can house talent. So we will do our best on that. To your second question, which is about the opening, there's no one, as you can imagine, who is more motivated to get this hotel open than we are. The Beach Club is a little easier because it's a new build, and you know, when we open this hotel, it's been open for 50 years. It's going to be open for another 50 years at least. So we want to do it right. We obviously also have to go through an enormous amount of staff training, but also passing, the fire checks and all the things that you would want. So we are going to be open this year just as soon as we can. And it would be sort of remiss of me to say more than that. But as I said, I promise you, there's no one who wants to crack open the bottle of rum more than me when we do that.
Final words, gentlemen. Start with you, Chris Ferbert?
Certainly, Glenn, I would like to say that, if anyone would have told me in 2020 we're going to lose the largest hotel in Bermuda for 6 years and it's going to remain shut, I would have told me, you better go check yourself in the Maui, because I'm going to never believe that. But here we are now, 6 years later, and now the hotel's going to be open. I can't wait. I'm looking forward to it. Certainly, all the work that's going into it. Looking at all the renovations and just looking at what the end product is going to look like in the end. Just look forward to it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Chris?
Well, first of all, thank you for having us on and allowing us to speak about things so freely. I think now it's been a controversial development. We all know that. And there's been a lot of items that have been raised. And, of course, I absolutely welcome everyone having an opinion. But I think now is the time for us as an island and a people to get behind this, to be excited, to look at what opportunities there are for individuals, to look at what opportunities there are for people who want to go and enjoy it, Bermudians there. Mm-hmm. Let's use it as a celebration rather than something to throw stones at.
Absolutely. Yeah.
A very special in-studio guest this afternoon, West End Properties Owners Representative, Mr. Chris Mabry, and the Bermuda Industrial Union President, Brother Chris Ferbert. Gentlemen, thank you so very much for illuminating what's going on there at the Fairmont Southampton Princess Hotel. And I take this opportunity on behalf of Inter-Island Communications and the entire community to wish you every continued success. and the West End Properties Owners Representative, Mr. Chris Mabry, for sharing all of that invaluable information on the progress being made at the redevelopment of the Southampton Princess Hotel. That would be the Fairmount Southampton Princess Hotel. Very, very exciting news, particularly with respect to what can be anticipated and expected upon the opening of that very iconic hotel, the largest property in Bermuda, with all of the amenities and the new features that will be available at that fine facility upon its opening later this year. And of course, we will be advised on the opening date at some time, and I would think the near future. Ada from the 4th until the 6th of this month highlighted Bermuda's strong representation across track and field, competing against the Caribbean's best. Bermuda's athletes have delivered a series of impressive performances. Whilst the track and field events took place, the Carifta Swimming Championships were also being held in Martinique, the French Caribbean island, from April the 2nd through until the 9th of April, so that competition is still going on. Minister of Tourism and Transport, Culture and Sport, the Honorable Owen Darrell, JPMP, was in attendance to support the team, highlighting the government's commitment to youth development and athletic excellence. Praising the athletes, Minister Darrell stated, "Our athletes have once again demonstrated what dedication and discipline can achieve. Their performances at Carifta 2026 inspires us all and reinforces that sport matters in shaping our young people and bringing our community together. Congratulations to all the athletes, coaches, and supporting staff." The minister went on to state, "I am proud of you, and Bermuda is proud of you." Among the standout achievements, of course, Bermuda's female swim relay team, consisting of Marley Howes, Tegan Mewitt, Catherine Wedden, and Violet Smith, delivered a commendable performance, securing the island's first gold medal at the swimming championships. Additionally, Miles Otterbridge, of course, made history by breaking a long-standing national track record in the 100 meters. He also took home the silver medal in the 200 meters, marking a significant milestone not only in his personal career, but also for Bermuda track and field as a whole. These accomplishments are a testament to the athletes' hard work, as well as the dedication of their coaches and support staff. The government of Bermuda congratulates the entire Carifta team for their efforts, sportsmanship, and proud presentation of the island on the international stage at the 2026 Carifta Games. There's no It's Magic 102.7 FM at 43 minutes after the hour as we kind of wind down today's show. Just want to share a bit of information with you. The Ministry of Health will observe Public Health Week, which is currently going on, began on the 6th of this month, which would have been yesterday, and it goes on through until the 10th of April. Under the theme Ready, Set, Action. This year's theme encourages the community to reflect on progress made while highlighting the steps needed to build a healthier future for all Bermudians. The Minister of Health, the Honorable Kim Wilson, JPMP, emphasized the importance of collective action in improving the island's well-being. Public Health Week is a reminder that every one of us has a role to play in building a healthier Bermuda. Ready, Set, Action is more than a theme. It is a call to move from the intention to meaningful change. Whether we are promoting physical activity, supporting our children, or caring for our own well-being, the choices we make today shape the health of our island tomorrow. The minister encourages everyone to participate in this week's activities and take one positive step toward a stronger, healthier future. Public Health Week will began, I should say, yesterday. It will continue with a public pop-up outside of the Ministry of Health headquarters. That happened, I believe, yesterday during the opening. On today at 4:30, the ministry will hold the Paulette Stevens 5K Memorial Walk, which is a 4-mile event honoring the memory of Paulette Stevens, a cherished member of the ministry whose resilience, dedication to service, and advocacy for chronic disease awareness left a lasting impact on colleagues and the wider community. The walk serves as a meaningful tribute to her legacy and the values she embodied, and all are welcome to attend. Then, this coming Thursday, the 9th of April, Youth Fun Fitness activities will take place at Victoria Park, featuring physical activity stations and interactive Department of Health booths. Children aged 4 years to 16 years of age are invited to attend and participate. This event is by invitation only for some of the government holiday camps. This week will conclude on Friday, April the 10th. It will conclude, and let's see what will be going on there. It will conclude with the Staff Appreciation Day Health Heroes Recharge, held exclusively for Ministry of Health employees and celebrating the team while modeling the wellness principles promoted throughout the week. Public Health Week 2026 reflects the ministry's ongoing commitment to empowering individuals, strengthening community well-being, and promoting healthier lifestyles across Bermuda. The ministry encourages all residents to join this week, which started yesterday, Monday. Health pop-up started yesterday, or took place yesterday. Today's walk at 4:30 will take place this afternoon, and you can continue taking meaningful steps toward healthier future. Magic 102.7. Good afternoon, everyone here.
Yeah, I'm going to quote you before you go off, Glenn.
Yes.
Cuban staff up at Southampton, at the renovation, right? I can remember when there's Cuban people here, and you had the problem south side when we first got the baseline back.
Yeah.
And today is the anniversary of Dr. Roosevelt Brown's passing. Is that correct?
Oh, I'm not sure. I didn't realize that.
I think so. I think I heard them on Nikita say it on the talk show.
Oh, okay. All right. If she said it, it will be correct.
Let me say this. I don't know what we would do without you and your wife and all the information we get from your various talk shows, man. You are, I'm telling you, you are God's blessing to this country.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes. And I was just wondering if the king visiting America to see the president of the United States, and with him talked about invading Cuba. This war is created over in Iran.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little worried about what that man might, what he might try to do next.
Yeah, you're speaking about the president of the United States?
Yeah.
Well, he is someone who's predictably unpredictable.
I'm a little concerned about, us having Cubans here and the king going over there and what they're going to be talking about, because you heard it mentioned a little while back, I think right after this talk about taking over Greenland, that somebody in England talked about, what about Bermuda?
Yeah, the guy, Jesse, what is his name? Jesse Wells? Jesse somebody.
You remember that?
Yeah, on Fox News, yeah.
Right.
But a lot of these talk show celebrity hosts engage in much rhetorical diatribe. So you must take much of what you hear these days with a grain of salt. It's interesting that Donald Trump, I think, may have coined the phrase fake news because he knows about fake news probably more than anybody else, because it's a lot of things that come out of his mouth people would suggest is fake. So, there you go.
There's a question about you back in the day. Did Roosevelt assist you in Cuba with that venture you took on?
Actually, no. That was something that Delmon Talbot Sr. And Jr. assisted me with. Okay. And we actually went there and met with government officials to make that happen. Right. And we brought them back twice. And they are now doing quite well in various parts of Canada and the United States.
Yeah, because I remember he assisted Andy Sylvan, I remember, and Nelson Baskin, and we went down.
Yep.
You saved it to him.
He was very well...
He had serious contact. Even if Casper himself.
Oh, yeah, he was very well liked and very well respected there in Cuba. And many places around the world, particularly in, Africa and some of the Asian countries as well,
Yeah. Anyway, man.
All right.
Show today.
Thank you, Sir Pitcher.
All
right, take care. Magic 102.7, good afternoon, you're on the air.
Hey, man.
Hey.
I want to talk about Miles Davis.
I'm sorry?
I said I want to talk about Miles Davis.
Oh man, I wish you would. I read the very in-depth overview that I thought you wrote extremely well. I read it verbatim on the air earlier before I engaged in the interview with the guests I had in studio, Chris Furbert and Chris Mabry. I just thought it was worthy of sharing, and I felt that you wouldn't mind me sharing what you had wrote.
I missed that, man. I missed the call.
No, because we can talk. Yeah, we could talk a little bit more in depth. Yeah, tell me something, Mike. Is he going to be coming back to Bermuda before he goes back to the U.S. or?
No. Unfortunately, he's missed a couple of weeks of school.
And that's what I figured. Because my wife says, I want to go to the airport. I want to meet this gentleman and shake his hand and give him a hug because he is just phenomenal.
His mom, matter of fact, his mom left me a message last night.
Okay.
Stating that it says, Mike, man, you guys ain't going to be able to see him because this happened to school.
Yeah. That's what I assumed, and I told I assumed that, and I told when I said, I don't think he's going to come back with the team because he's attending school in the United States, and in preparation and for the number of days that he's had to take off, he probably is going to go straight back to school.
Yeah, and he's in high school, remember? So he's obviously got a formidable scholarship
I can only imagine. Yeah.
From University of Houston, and guess who's going to be coaching?
Who?
The great Carl Lewis.
Wow. Oh, man. You couldn't ask for a better coach than that.
Yeah.
And, observing Carl Lewis, because I don't know him, of course, but observing him, watching him over the years, not just doing his career and the way he conducted himself, like just the gentleman's gentleman. And it seems as if Miles is a gentleman of the highest order. The way he conducted himself during the interview, how well he articulated himself. He seemed to be extremely humble. That is always very conducive to being coachable. Where
you hit it spot on when you said humble.
Yeah.
That would describe Miles. Very humble. I mean, I remember first seeing him when he came to me to, be coached. I said, "Geez, man, I couldn't get a word out of me. He was so humble and quiet, and the demeanor was so pleasant."
Did you notice that he had the propensity to be a sprinter when you first started coaching him? How did that actually occur? How did that relationship establish?
One of the things I told Miles last year at his grandfather's funeral, I said, "Miles," and by the way, Butch Otterbridge would be looking down, smiling there. But one of the things that I reminded him is that I noticed his arm movement was getting a little wild last season.
Oh, okay.
And although I no longer obviously coach him, I noticed that. He was very thankful and promised to work on it. Well, I didn't have to make any promises to me. I'm no longer his coach, but he certainly said there's something to think about. And I talked a bit about him making sure he gets stronger and lifts it. Because one thing, speed requires strength.
Yeah.
The longer you get, the faster you get.
Yeah.
So,
and the one thing that I don't know how you would respond to this, but I'm going to ask you this question, because if it's anyone that would have a response that would be appropriate to the question being answered, it would be you. You have a Usain Bolt who's towering over 6 feet. You have Miles, who looks like he might be between 5'7" and 5'8".
right.
So Miles is center of gravity is lower. His stride would be shorter than the taller athlete. What are the advantages of the shorter person or the advantages of the taller person, notwithstanding their speed and their strength?
Well, stride pattern is based on the individual. So you could have a taller athlete that doesn't have an abnormally long stride.
Okay.
The important thing is to be effective with your stride.
Mm-hmm.
And we use a term called dorsiflex, meaning the ability for your feet to get to the ground quickly and explode off of the ground. So stride pattern is important, but that is even more important when it comes to acceleration. And some can be effective by having a shorter stride. Some can be effective by having a slightly longer stride. Ideally, a medium and effective stride and the ability to dorsiflex off the ground, which Usain Bolt mastered. For his height, his stride wasn't extremely long.
Right.
It was really his ability to power off of the ground and dorsiflex that made him look like he was extending further than he actually was.
It made it look like he was floating. And that dorsiflex that you mentioned, I think that would be really significantly important for 110-meter hurdlers as well, to get their feet as quickly planted back on the ground.
Any speed event, especially distance runners, can get away with not knowing that unless you want to develop your kick.
Okay.
But Miles, you asked the question, Miles, when he came to me, one of the things that was interesting about Miles when he came to me is he had better running mechanics than he has now.
Oh, wow.
You know, that was always something that fascinated me. I said, this kid is like, he just got perfect running mechanics. He don't have a fool. But see, you got to remember, as the children get stronger and bigger, things change. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to some degree, I mean, you know, developing muscle and racing, you know, on a regular basis and all those things, you develop habits sometimes.
Yes.
You know, and depending on who your coaches are that may or may not focus on some of that stuff. Like maybe I would. I mean, I'm a meticulous when I coach sprinters that they have to run a certain way.
Right.
Other coaches may just rely on the racing, or, you know, if they're already winning, they may leave you alone. They may not always be tampering with you, because sometimes that could work against you. Sometimes you change an athlete too much. You take something away rather than give something.
Okay.
It's all these factors that come into play.
Yeah.
But Miles, to answer your question, Miles, a little kid with amazing mechanics, man. He's like a little machine, you know?
Yeah, that's how he runs now. So how old was he when you first started working with him?
About 8.
Wow.
8 years old, something like that.
Wow.
He's young, man.
Really young. And now he's only, so that would have been what, 11 years ago or so, because he's 19 now, right?
Yeah. They had him for about 3 years, and then I got out of coaching, and he went over to Pacers, I believe. He was with Pacers for a little while.
Okay.
I don't know which coach had him.
Okay.
But because he ended up going abroad, obviously. You know what I mean?
Yes. So, Mike, I saw both races live, right? I saw the 100 meters live, and I saw the 200 meters last evening live. The interesting observation that I made was that at the end of the 200-meter race, it seemed that he was beginning to tighten while the Jamaican was coming on stronger. And actually, the Jamaican came from behind to beat him by a nose length at the finish line. And that would have been the winner from Jamaica of the 200 meters last night. And that was Sanjay Seymour, who is quite a bit taller than Miles.
Now let me tell you something right now, right? Let me put things in proper perspective.
Okay.
Miles had run 10:29, 10:21, 20.5. And he produced the 20.6 in the finals.
And those other two times were the heats, right?
Yeah. No other athlete at Carifta, including the guy that beat him in the 200, which just edged him by a slight bit.
Yeah.
Buddy exerted that type of power over those 3 days. I'll do my son straight. If Miles wins that 200, he's Superman.
Whoa.
Because I know that the Caribbean has depth in the 200. The 100 too, but especially the 200.
Okay.
And I said, whoever is recovered the most, that is on paper capable of winning, that's the one going to win. And I don't think it's going to be Miles.
Wow.
I said, but when I saw Miles come off of that bench
and
take a concerted effort and be in the lead,
yes,
I couldn't believe my eyes. I said, God, here
But you know, with the point,
never recovered that much.
but you know the
So
point.
I was not surprised when he fed it and the Jamaican guy slipped by him.
Caught him, yeah.
But I'll tell you this, I was surprised that he performed at the level he did.
Got you.
So I was very happy with this performance because I told my son, maybe a bronze, maybe a fourth, but because he's already won that, I could care less.
Right. But you know, but the point you make is it can't be missed when you say the impact the number of races would have had on his body in him being able to recover for the final. And the reason why I say that is a very significant observation is because the Jamaican was disqualified for a false start in the 100 meters. So he didn't get to exert himself. So of all of those runners that would have went through the normal regimen of the preliminaries, the quarterfinals or the semifinals and then the finals, he was one that skipped one. So he would have been the one most rested for the finals.
Exactly.
So now that does make a bit of a difference. Not to say that he wouldn't have still won, but
if the athlete is capable, that's a big difference.
Okay.
It's different if we're talking about an athlete is not capable anyway. He's not producing those type of times. But
right.
Who are those Jamaican guys? Pick his miles here is at 200.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, let me put it in proper perspective. 3 of those Jamaican guys had a better 100 and a better 200 than Miles coming into the games. Miles is the only sprinter that improved his personal best by a significant rate compared to those other guys. Those other guys ran the times the always been running. Miles, he's like, all of a sudden, he was world class. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's going from a high schooler to breaking his country's senior record. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, you're talking about an athlete that peaked at the right time and matured at the right time and everything else you want to put with it. He did something that was unbelievable in most coaches' mind. No one would expect Miles to perform at that level he did. Even if Miles would have ran 10.4, would have ran 20.8, most people would have said, this guy has done well.
Mm-hmm.
But to run 10.2 and to run 20.5, that's, in most coaches' mind, doing the impossible.
Yeah, at that age.
That's right. And in that time frame, compared to what his actual personal bests were.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
The only thing I can attribute it to is the fact that Miles was racing in the United States at a level in high school competition that was keeping him very competitive.
Ah, yeah.
But still, the fact that he weren't running those fast times is still, in most coaches' mind, obviously not impossible, but unrealistic.
But what significance is the level of adrenaline that you would feel and then apply to your inner belief that no one can beat you? How much does the psyche play on translating your will to win to your actual physical ability to win?
One of the biggest worries was when he ran the 10:29, coming back in the finals and performing at that same optimum level. Because a lot of athletes falter. They'll blow everybody away in the semis.
Yeah.
They'll come in the finals and end up third. You know what I mean? And to actually outperform everybody as you've been doing in the semis is obviously the athlete that is very mentally strong. Obviously got his act together mechanically and everything else. But, you know, we got to also consider the atmosphere, the expectancy, the fact that you're representing your country. And all these factors come into play in the mind of the athlete, which is why, and a big component is this. Have you did everything as a country or as a coach to, and everything else could be your home environment, have you did everything to make it possible for the athlete to perform at that optimum level? Have you, as a country, financed the situation to help him, rewarded him, made sure he reaped the rewards? Are you, as a family, making sure he's nutritiously doing well, mentally doing well in areas he should be? As you as a coach, obviously training him correctly, racing him correctly. So, you know, there's no point you as a country saying, well, I'm going to give track and field a minor grant, but expect them to produce all these top-level athletes and not have the finances to send them to the top-level competition. And this is where the rest of the Caribbean are miles ahead of Bermuda in terms of funding their athletes, in spite of them being considered to be coming from countries that are third world or don't have the finance. But one area they do finance and recognize is sports, because they may not be able to give funding in other areas that Bermuda can. But when it comes to sports, they don't mess around. You know, they're able to find the funding for it. And unfortunately, Bermuda is lacking in that area. But in Miles' cases, because he's had tremendous family support, which I think what the government is counting on sometimes. But what happens when you got an athlete that ain't in that predicament? I had an athlete better than Miles. I thought, I shouldn't say that because then it got there what the athlete would amount to. But I had an athlete in my mind was Superman, a guy named Jarman Reed. He was a serious talent. Are you saying, Bo? And his mother was Jamaican born, so he had the genetics. And everything else that comes with it. He had the pedigree, even the Bermuda pedigree. His grandfather was a known soccer player with tremendous speed on the soccer field. But this guy had everything, and he is built, and he was dynamic. And I only had that boy 3 months before he had to move Florida, with a family situation. I had him 3 months, and that boy made the finals in Caribbean Games.
Wow.
In the same race Miles was in and placed 5th.
Wow.
And ran 10.5.
Wow.
And that boy,
Now was he under 17 or under 20?
Under 20.
Okay.
First ever time training, 3 months, and you don't step into the open or the under 20 arena at Caribbean 100 and perform like that, man. You're gonna get blood away. You have to have the exposure that Miles has had. You know what I mean? But yet this boy was and Miles would know this guy because he was somebody he looked up to because he was one of the older boys. At the time. And my point here is that if that boy would have been funded, wouldn't have been in an environment where he, would have needed the financial help. Man, he would have,
But I do.
Miles has had a lot of people behind him, which is helped him along the way.
Sure.
We can't take that for granted.
Right. So would he now, with this achievement, be either eligible, because there's no doubt he's worthy, but would he be eligible under the criteria that must be met to designate an athlete as an elite athlete where he would then be able to get the funding?
No, because the criteria set calls for years of consistency in order to reach that criteria. So, no, unfortunately, you can see talent, you can see a future gold medalist, but it doesn't mean they qualify under the rules of the BOA for receiving elite athlete funding.
So tell me this then, because sometimes exceptions are warranted, right? So
yes.
he's won a gold at the time, because the time you can't deny the numbers. He's won the 100 meters.
You're talking about miles.
Miles.
No, Miles would qualify. No, Miles would. I think
that's what I'm. That's
whoever.
No. Right.
And consider grading him.
Yeah.
He may receive what we call A standard. He may be B standard. He may be A or B or C. But
because
they would have to consider him. Yeah.
Of course, because I'm thinking.
But I'm talking about the athlete that has just come in the program. 3 months later, he's had some success, and What about him? Well, how is he going to be now catered to in order to continue? He may not have come from a structured background. He may not be in a structured background, but boy, he's got all the potential in the world. So, unfortunately, depending on how you're being groomed along, unfortunately, it's like life, man. It's like, if you're born in Bermuda, you have free access to the United States. If you're born in Mexico, you can't come into the United States, unless you got a visa, or you're in property, or you know what I mean? So running is the same, athletics is the same way in Bermuda, in my opinion. If you haven't put in the time or got certain credentials, they're just not going to consider you. So you have to show them you're committed.
Okay.
But my point is, sometimes that does not keep a person in the sport. But sometimes you can give somebody something and it will keep them in the sport.
Yes. Incentivizing and motivating. Yeah. Incentives. Absolutely.
Well, we need to take a hard look at that.
Yeah, and so also, another thing you don't hear much about in Bermuda, which I think in a lot of countries they have access to, is sports psychology.
Yeah. That is a good thing, but that's not a major thing in terms of
individual sports.
Yeah, I think one of the things that works better, in my opinion, with Bermuda's athlete is monetary incentives in terms of funding their career.
Yeah.
Funding their career. We need to. Karen Saunders had a fantastic idea where he thought that every athlete that gets involved that is past junior years should be given a pension by government, automatic. Because they are stopping being in the workforce to be athletes, to represent their country. And
that's very true.
They should have some compensation to look back on in the future. Because think about it. If you don't start your pension early, chances are, things ain't going to look bright when you do retire. So,
well, one thing that...
During those formidable years, they're gaining something from the government that makes them say, well, hey, man, let me stay. It could be insurance. It could be pension or something that makes them say, well, it's worth me being here and representing my country. But I think our country is not sports-minded in a sense that we see sports as something for your personal enjoyment, not you now bugging down and seeing how good you can be, which ultimately will put the country on the map. But the Caribbean doesn't think like that.
No, yeah.
They see their athletes as the greatest advertising their country can have. So therefore, it's free advertising. So why not give them something? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so why not monetarily make a commitment to support the athletes?
So some level of financial reciprocation for their ambassadorship significance. Based on their performance.
Competing and realistically, get older in life and feel comfortable with the idea of I'm just training my butt off. There's no guarantee I'm going to win.
Right.
But in order for me to win, I got to have the right frame of mind. And you talked about sports psychology. Well, nothing's better than psychologically having an athlete feel comfortable in life. Do you realize Noah Lyles and all those guys, Usain Bolt and all them guys, a lot of their success is the fact that they ain't got no financial worth.
Yeah.
So they can only focus on what they got to do. They're hard to beat. You can't beat a guy like that. My whole career, I was always worried about where the next dollar's coming from.
Well, I
can't be so good that way.
Well, I got a story. There was an athlete when I was the minister who qualified for a field event in the Olympics, and he reached out to me to share his story. He was working in a southern state.
The number you have dialed is not a working number. Please check the number and dial again. Message
and 3
when they found G3MI1.
Out that he was an Olympic qualifier, they insisted that he stand on his feet. He couldn't even sit down. He could go use the bathroom, but he had to stand up for the entire time he was doing his shift as an automobile salesperson. So he reached out to me practically in tears and said, Minister, I want to share something with you because I don't know where else to turn and I would like to get some help, So I said, okay, I'm all ears. And he explained the situation. And he said he thought that maybe there was a level of jealousy because he was representing another country in the Olympics or whatever. But there was this challenge that he had. And he said, I just need the next, 4 or 5 months or whatever to strictly concentrate on my training regimen and not have to worry about anything financially. He said, because having to work, I then have to gear myself up after a whole day's work to train after I get off. And I'm almost exhausted.
Yeah.
So I said, well, what are you actually asking? What are you saying? He says, well, I need, if I could get some financial support from you, the government, or the ministry, it would be so helpful. I could quit my job and just concentrate on the Olympics. So I said, well, how much are you talking about? And he gave me the figure. I said, I tell you what, give me about a week and I'll get back to you. So I had a meeting with my permanent secretary and the comptroller, and I directed that they find the amount that he required. And they came back by the end of the day and said, Minister, pleased to tell you that we found the funding given the request. We just need to have something in writing from yourself explaining the circumstances, etc. I did it in 3 days. I was able to contact him and give him the news, and he was brought to tears. He couldn't believe it. So he says, well, what do I need to do? I said, just one thing for me. Make the finals. Debt paid.
Right.
He says, I'm going to make the finals. He made the finals. Finished 8th, and one of his attempts was a foul. But it was an attempt that would have put him in the medals had it not been a foul.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable, and I was there to actually see it myself. You know,
and let's go a little further and say that same athlete won a gold medal at CAC Games.
Wow.
So what you done was worth it.
Yeah.
And I know his story because he told me the story.
Okay.
So I could tell the public that you're telling the truth.
Right.
That's right.
Yep. And another very humble, nice guy.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think he still holds the CAC bracket.
Oh, okay.
In that particular field event.
Well, in closing, I got a question for you. Miles is considering bypassing, although he qualified for the Commonwealth Games, so that he could be at his peak or best to compete in the World Under-20 Championships in Oregon. Is that the Steve Prefontaine Classic?
No.
That's a different one?
That's the under-20s, yeah. That's one that's significantly placed in importance by World Athletics.
Okay.
The Commonwealth Games all the major meets are basically supported by World Athletics. But World Athletics puts on specific events, and I think the under-20s would be one of their World Championships of that age group.
Right. I was very impressed with the organization of the 2026 Carifta Games in Grenada. I thought they did themselves very proud. The uniformity of the officials and that kind of thing, the way they presented the medals, well thought out and well executed, I thought.
Carifta Games, track and field, I want those listening to understand this. Carifta Games is deemed amongst the top 2 or 3 junior world-class track meets in the world.
Wow.
Carifta Games,
I didn't realize that.
In track and field is not what Carifta Games is in other sports.
Okay.
In other sports, it may be regional junior competitions. Carifta Games, though it's in a regional competition, is actually considered one of the very best in the world. So when you convene at Carifta,
well, if you've produced the world champion, fastest man in the world, and fastest women in the world, coming out of those games, I don't know what else you would need to meet a criteria that would suggest you would be worthy of being among the elite competitions.
Exactly, and if you're winning medals at any other Carifta sport, let me put it this way. Right, because all sports, I congratulate all sports that do well in Carifta because it's a celebration of the Caribbean Free Trade, CARICOM anyway. Right?
Yeah.
So it is a celebration of the islands collectively doing what some of us want Bermuda to go the way it is. But my point is that in terms of world standing, a person winning the 400 meters at Carifta Games, it could be any distance, with the exception to the long distance, the very long distance, 5,000, 3,000, 1,500 and down. Carifta Games is on par with you being in maybe the top 50 juniors in the world. Whereas other sports, you'd be lucky if you're in the top 5,000 in the world.
Okay.
Now, that's not every individual, because you may get a cyclist or somebody that his performance warrants him being in the top 3 in the world in Carifta. But I'm talking generally speaking.
Right.
Generally speaking, Carifta Games, track and field, is one of the highest caliber meets in the world, whereas other sports, you may be meddling, but the level of that particular event or discipline wouldn't be world ranked like Carifta would be, like track and field would be in Carifta.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so that's the thing people need to realize. So these days to go Carifta and get medal in track and field.
Yeah, you got to be.
Lord.
You got to be exactly, man.
You may go in another sport,
Yeah.
got a lot of medals.
Yeah.
You can't do that in track and field.
Yeah.
Because one thing has changed. The Caribbean has recognized that we can't be world beaters in cricket any longer, but we certainly are dominating the world when it comes to track and field sprinting.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt about that, no doubt.
So the emphasis is on just that.
Right.
Carifta is a big deal in the Caribbean.
Right.
That's the Super Bowl of the Caribbean.
Yeah. You know what I was really impressed about was many Bermudian track athletes achieved personal bests. Even in the, I think it was the 5,000 meters. I can't remember the gentleman, the young guy with the Italian name. He left every single thing on the track.
Yeah, Gianluca. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. It was too bad. With 2 laps to go, they caught him, man, because he was running
I thought he was going to medal. Exactly. Yeah.
I was so hurt, man.
Yeah.
Man, I knew he must have been really giving his all.
He was way above his own expectation where he was at that stage in the race. So if he would have focused more, maybe he would have been able to overcome what his body may have been feeling. But he probably gave into what his body was feeling and couldn't garner the strength to put mind over matter. Because if you aren't used to being at that level in a race ordinarily, and you're way beyond expectation, when the reality hits you, it could throw you off the focus of dealing with what you're just dealing with. I don't know if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
But the reality is he could be at another meet and perform under that standard and still win.
Yeah. Okay.
You got a Carifta.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to pull the best out of you.
Pulls the best out of you. Yeah, I get you. Yeah.
Because of the level of the competition. But it was like me when I went to the Olympics. I mean, man, I'm like, man, I got to perform my best here because the climate, the atmosphere, it's like, you don't want to look bad.
Right,
But sometimes that works against you, too, because I don't think my best performances were in the Olympics.
Okay.
They weren't bad for me, but I thought, I didn't peak at the right time.
Right.
Okay, and not only that, again, it comes down to funding. We're not the type of country it could be like the U.S., and the athletes can be at the venue for 3 months preparing.
Yeah.
Bermuda's budget may call for 3 weeks.
Yeah. Especially back then, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying mentally, you're like, man, when I step on the track, I'm going to step up to the plate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's why my son looks at videos of me when I was in the Olympics. But one thing, Dad, you're hanging right in there. I'd be too embarrassed to drop off the base.
Right.
Just because of the atmosphere.
Of course. And the adrenaline that's running.
They do that to you. We're talking about Miles and Gianluca and the other boy, what's his name, Sanchez, who got the silver in the 3,000.
Yeah.
Hey.
That was a great performance. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
you have to step up your game.
Yeah. In closing, Mike, I'm going to switch and go straight to where your forte is, distance running, right?
Right.
I've been following the World 2026 Indoor Championships, right?
Right.
The most impressive guy and athlete in that championships, for me, was Cooper Lucanis. Have you heard of him?
Cooper, I know, distance runner.
Yeah, Cooper Lucanis, Lukenhous.
The guy, he won the 1,500.
Yeah, he's an American.
Yeah.
Hey, he did the 15.
You're talking about the youngster who ran the 800.
No, he did the 1,500.
Oh, okay.
144.24.
No, that's the 800. That's the 800.
Oh, that's the 800.
That's a teenage guy.
17 years old.
Yeah, high schooler. He beat the big boys.
Beat all the big boys. I thought it was the 15. I don't know why I thought it was the 1500. Is the 800 144?
Yeah.
Okay.
800. Yeah. Yeah, that guy is amazing. I mean,
17 years old, and he walloped him.
Hey, 17. No, the best performance.
Hey, after you crossed the finish line, you looked at all of the other elite athletes who were the world class, the creme de la creme, and they looked so embarrassed.
That's right. That's right. Hey, man, the best performance I'm ever did as a senior athlete was 145, and that was in a relay. Other than that, my open times was in the 148 area. This young guy's coming out running 144. Hey.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
I was like, what's this guy been eating all his life, man? 17 years old.
I'm sure people are saying that when they look at Miles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a junior breaking the national record.
And he looks so unassuming because his size alone and stature, looking at the taller athletes, you're kind of like, can he really compete? Man, when he came out of those blocks, and the one thing, he has a next to perfect start.
Yeah.
He gets out of those blocks like Jesus. He gets out of those blocks as quick as anyone.
And the guy was always a machine, with a quiet machine.
Gotcha.
I mean?
A gentle giant.
He got the right genetics, too. I believe strongly in genetics, but
it's
got that Cumberbatch blood in it. That's a quarry worker. Right?
Corey, yeah.
That Cumberbatch worker, he's got quarry worker.
Yeah.
And his grandmother on his father's side is Jamaican.
Yeah, so he's got the ackee and saltfish and turncoal mule and okra. Yeah.
Oh, there's got a lot of Bermudian in there, too,
Oh, yeah.
And this eagle got a little Portuguese in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a little mellow blood in it.
That's right. Yes. Hey, and by the way, give my best to Terry. And thank you so much, man. I appreciate this call because, I wanted to talk, and I was hoping, I said at the beginning of the show, when I read your response to your circle of friends on your WhatsApp chat, that I hope that you were listening and that you would eventually call so that we could have a chat about your impressions of Miles. Yeah,
I caught you late, but I made up my mind I was going to call you and run my mom about it.
It's never too late when you get through.
Hey, not a problem, my buddy.
All right, have a good evening. Okay, my friend, take care. Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye.
Well, that does it for our show today, folks, at 35 minutes after the hour. Thank you so very much for joining us. And again, a big thank you to Mike Watson, a former Olympian. His specialty was 800 meters, and he represented the country very well at collegiate level as well as senior level as an Olympian. Again, another proud Bermudian that made all of Bermuda proud during the successful years he competed at the highest level of track and field as well. Reflecting on our new generation of Bermudian athletes, particularly the sprinter Miles, who won the 100 meters and the silver medal in the 200 meters last night. Miles Outerbridge, congratulations, man! You made the country so proud, and he's only 19 years old, so I think the best is yet to come for him. I believe he's going to be a force to be reckoned with among the elite sprinters in both those particular races, the 100 and 200 meters respectively. Wow, I can't wait to see. I'm kind of thinking, it is more than a possibility. It could be a probability that Miles Outerbridge could bring home a medal in the sprints, the 100 and 200 meter races respectively. Let's pull for him and continue to encourage and in our own special way motivate him to continue along the path of success that he has enjoyed so far at a very, very young age. Very much so. Well, as I said, that's it for us today. Upcoming is Larry Holder with Union Corner at 5:30. Later in the evening, it'll be Cromwell Shakur with Balance Matters, right here, all happening on Magic 102.7 FM. And at 38 minutes after the hour, do enjoy the remainder of your evening. Make sure you got your brellies, your rain gear, that kind of thing, because Johnny Storm has advised us for the next several days until at least Sunday, we here in Bermuda would be experiencing rather inclement weather, inclusive of intermittent rain showers, some light and some a little more heavier. So be sure you're prepared as you move about the community.
Bermuda Live on YouTube. Subscribe now.